Dear my chosen, take a slow breath and listen closely, because there is something gentle and profound you may have felt even if you never found the words for it. There is a quiet language that reveals who we are, and animals seem to understand it better than anyone. You can learn so much about a person by how living beings respond to their presence. Maybe you have seen it happen without questioning it. A restless dog grows calm. Music the moment you enter the room. A cautious cat abandons its hiding place and curls up beside you. Birds continue their song when you step outside, as if they sense no threat, only peace. Wild animals that flee from others pause when you pass by. Even the most skittish creatures seem to recognize something in you that makes them stay rather than run. These moments don't announce themselves. They arrive softly, almost shyly, like a whisper you weren't expecting to hear. For some, this same calm appears in children, in anxious souls, in people who usually keep their walls high. Around you, their shoulders drop, their breath slows. They may not explain it, but something in them feels safe. And at some point, you have quietly wondered, why do they respond to me this way? What is it that they sense that I cannot always see in myself? If you have ever noticed this pattern in your own life, if you have felt the weight of being trusted by creatures who trust so rarely, take a moment and leave a comment below. Share your experience. Sometimes putting words to these quiet confirmations helps us recognize what God has been building in us all along. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. This is not imagination or superstition. It is alignment. It is what happens when your life begins to move in harmony with compassion, patience, and care. Scripture reminds us, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. Matthew 5-9. Peace recognizes peace, and when you carry it within you, the world feels it too. The ground beneath your feet feels it. The air around you registers it. Every living thing you encounter reads it without needing a single word spoken. From the beginning, God shaped a world that responds to care, harmony, and intention. Creation was never designed to be numb music or disconnected. It listens. It recognizes alignment. It knows the difference between someone who forces their way through life and someone who moves with quiet authority rooted in love. Scripture tells us, "The Lord is good to all music, and his tender mercies are over all his works." Psalm 145-9. There is something within creation itself that responds when a human life begins to move in the direction of God's heart. Not toward perfection, not toward religious performance, but toward a sincere lived yes to him. That is why moments with animals matter more than they seem. When they settle around you, when they stop guarding themselves in your presence, it is not just a tender coincidence. It is a signpost, a reflection of something deeper taking root in you. It is creation bearing witness to the transformation happening beneath the surface of your everyday life. You might dismiss it as nothing. You might think you are reading too much into a simple moment. But heaven sees these confirmations as sacred. God notices when the smallest creatures choose your presence as a place of refuge. There was a season when you were not at peace with how your life was unfolding. You felt disconnected from yourself, uncertain, uneasy in ways you could not always explain. You may have blamed circumstances. You may have wondered if you lacked faith, or if life was simply unfair. The days felt heavy, and the nights felt longer. You questioned your decisions, replayed conversations in your mind, and doubted whether you were walking the right path. But very often, the deeper issue was trust. Not trust in God alone, but trust in who God was shaping you to become. You walked cautiously, holding back. You questioned your instincts. You doubted your worth. You measured your steps as if one wrong move could undo everything. Every interaction felt like a test you might fail. Every silence felt like judgment. You were living in a constant state of bracing yourself. never fully exhaling, never fully resting in the knowledge that you were held. That season has been loosening its grip. Slowly, faithfully, you have been learning to trust yourself again, not in arrogance, but in partnership with God. You are beginning to believe that He truly walks with you, that His guidance is not distant or indifferent, but present and personal. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct music thy paths. Proverbs 3-5 and 6. Direction often comes as quiet confidence, not loud certainty. It shows up in the way you no longer second-guess every choice. It reveals itself in how you can sit with uncertainty without panicking. It becomes visible when you stop needing constant external validation to know you are on the right road. Animals perceive this shift clearly. They are not impressed by status, money, or appearance. They cannot be manipulated by titles or credentials. They read presence with honesty. When they relax near you, when they choose your space as a place of rest, they are responding to the peace you carry. It is a gentle confirmation that you are not music misplaced. You are not behind. You are not walking the wrong road. You can music continue forward with steadier confidence and less self-doubt. Some people fill rooms with sound, yet everything feels tight around them. The air grows heavy when they speak. Animals retreat. Children become quieter. Even adults find reasons to leave early. Others enter quietly, and the atmosphere softens. The tension music drains without effort. Breathing becomes easier. Laughter comes more naturally. Chosen ones often belong to this second group. Not because they try to, but because of how they live. You do not arrive to impress or control. You show up shaped by what God has been teaching you in the hidden places, in the long nights, in the moments no one saw, and creation, music, responds. The wisdom that is from above is first pure. Music, then peaceable, gentle, and easy to be entreated, full of mercy and good fruits, without partiality and without hypocrisy. James 3:17. That wisdom carries weight without force. It commands respect without demanding it. It shapes the room without announcing itself. If this is resonating with your spirit right now, if you are beginning to see your own journey reflected in these words, I want to encourage you to hit that like button, not for the algorithm, but as a way of marking this moment, of saying yes to what God is revealing about who you are becoming. Sometimes a simple gesture of agreement helps anchor truth in our hearts. Think about ordinary spaces. A home filled with shouting, fear, and unresolved anger affects more than the people inside it. Animals stay alert. Music dogs pace instead of resting. Cats hide for hours. Plants struggle to thrive. Everything feels unsettled. The very walls seem to absorb the chaos. Even visitors sense it the moment they step through the door, though they may not know why their chest tightens or why they suddenly feel the need to leave. Now picture another home. The finances may be tight, the schedule may be overwhelming, the circumstances may be far from perfect. Nothing is polished or problem-free. But there is kindness in speech, respect in conflict, gratitude in small things. Apologies happen when needed. Forgiveness is practiced, not just preached. In that environment, animals rest easily. They stretch out. They move freely without fear. Even birds at the window linger without panic. Plants seem to reach toward the light with more vigor. Children play without the shadow of tension, following them from room to room. This is not about personality. It is not about being an extrovert or introvert, loud or quiet by nature. It is about pattern. It is what happens when someone allows God to shape the rhythm of their life, when peace becomes a practice rather than a performance, when gentleness is chosen even when no one is watching, when patience is extended not just to others, but to oneself. Scripture reminds us that God cares deeply about how we steward what has been placed under our care. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. Psalm 23 to 1 through 3. God's leadership is not harsh or frantic. It does not drive with threats or manipulate with fear. It brings rest. It creates space for restoration. When a person begins to reflect that same posture in their own life, honesty, humility, consistency, the spaces and lives around them begin to mirror it. Some of you have noticed that even when people misunderstand you, animals do not. A dog that barks at everyone else sits calmly at your feet. A bird music appears on the same branch each morning, as if keeping quiet watch. In places thick with tension, a small animal finds its way near you and settles as though your presence offers shelter. Horses that resist others soften under your hand. Animals in pain allow you close when they would bite anyone else. This happens again and again, and each time you wonder if you are imagining the pattern. You are not imagining it. This is not about admiration. It is about God's original design. Authority was never meant to dominate. It was meant to protect, guide, and care. In Genesis, humanity was given responsibility, not permission to harm. Stewardship was meant to look like wisdom, patience, and restraint. When you begin to walk more fully in that design, creation recognizes it. Something ancient and instinctive in the animal world responds to someone carrying the image of God with clarity and gentleness. Imagine a shepherd entering a restless field. The animals are scattered and uneasy. Someone unfamiliar might shout, wave their arms, and force movement through intimidation. But a true shepherd moves steadily. Their voice is calm. Their presence is familiar. There is no rush, no aggression, no need to prove anything without fear or force. The flock gathers, not because they were made to, but because they recognize safety. That is your life. Now you are becoming music, someone whose presence brings calm, someone whose way of living reflects God's care. Even when words fail, creation music understands. Keep walking. You are being trusted with peace, and you are carrying it well. You are not trying to prove anything anymore. Music, you are not performing holiness or trying to look spiritually impressive. What speaks now is quieter than that. It is the way you pause before music reacting. The way your voice lowers instead of rising when frustration shows up. The way you refuse to take music, your anger out on something weaker than you. The way you handle disappointment without lashing out. The way you respond to disrespect without becoming disrespectful in return. These small, unannounced choices send a signal into the space around you, and everything responds when you walk in. God has been working music on you for a long time. Years, not days. Not in a single dramatic moment, but in 1,000 quiet corrections, shaping your reactions, teaching your tongue to slow down, training your music nervous system to breathe before it answers. Softening the edges that used to cut others without you meaning them to, strengthening the parts of you that wanted to give up. You may not realize how visible that inner work has become. You still see your flaws clearly. You still notice where you fall short. But creation is reading something else. It is recognizing a pattern, one that matches how life was always meant to be handled and cared for. That is why some of you feel more at home in nature than in certain crowds. The forest does not gossip about you. The river does not question your calling. Birds do not ask for explanations or demand that you defend your journey. Living things simply respond to whether your presence carries respect or threat. And when it carries respect, they answer in their own honest way. They come closer instead of pulling back. They rest instead of bracing themselves. They show you the version of themselves they hide from everyone else. Before we continue, I want to invite you to subscribe if this message is speaking to something deep in your spirit. This is a space where we walk together through faith, growth, and the quiet transformations God works in us when no one else is watching. Your presence here matters, and I believe there are more messages ahead that will meet you exactly where you need them. God is not only using your words, He is using your habits. He is using the way you close a door without slamming it, the way you move around a frightened animal, music without overpowering it, the way you notice a small creature in your path and choose to protect music it instead of ignoring it, the way you handle interruptions without sighing in frustration, the way you deal with inconvenience without making it everyone else's problem, the way you treat waiters, cashiers, delivery drivers, people who cannot do anything for you in return. These choices seem small, almost forgettable, but repeated over time, they become a message louder than any sermon you could preach. They tell the story of who you really are, when the spotlight is off, when no one is taking notes, when there is no audience to applaud. And that story, the one lived in ordinary moments, is the one God honors most. There are people watching you who may never open a Bible or quote a verse, but they are learning from what they see. They are learning how you treat what cannot give you anything back. They are learning how you move through a room without adding more fear to it. They are learning that authority does not have to be loud, cruel, or threatening to be real. They are learning that strength can be gentle, that leadership can be humble, that power can be restrained. Scripture says, "He hath showed thee, O man, what is good, and what doth the Lord require of thee, but to do justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy God." Micah 6:8. Mercy and humility always show themselves in action, not performance. Not in grand gestures meant to be seen, but in the small sacred habits no one thinks to applaud. If you have ever wondered why animals seem to relax around you, why tense spaces soften when you arrive, even if you say very little, why children gravitate toward you without knowing why, this is not random. It is one of the quiet ways heaven has been confirming who you are becoming. God has been forming a life in you that teaches even when you are silent. Creation, in its honest and unfiltered way, has simply been responding to what it recognizes as safe, as aligned, as trustworthy. There is another layer to this that many people never stop to name. Being chosen is often imagined as something dramatic, a spotlight, a stage, a defining moment everyone can see. But for many of you, heaven has been measuring something much quieter. God has been watching how you move through small spaces, how you music speak in the kitchen when you are tired and no one is asking you to be kind, how you act when no one is watching and there is no reward for doing the right thing, how you treat what is fragile, overlooked, or inconvenient. When an animal relaxes near you, it is not just because you are being kind in that moment. It is a sign that your inner world music and your outer actions are beginning to match. What you believe about God's goodness is slowly becoming visible in your hands, your tone, your posture toward life. There is no longer a gap between who you say you are and how you actually move through the world. Scripture says of the servant of the Lord, "A bruised reed shall he, music's not break, and the smoking flax shall he not quench." Isaiah 42:3, gentleness is not weakness. It is strength under control. It is the ability to have power and choose restraint. It is knowing you could crush something and deciding instead to protect it. That kind of strength is rare. And when the world encounters it, even in the smallest interactions, it stops and takes notice. For a long time, you may have thought nothing special was happening in your life. You were just surviving, just getting through the days, just trying to hold things together. But look closer. Who taught you to lower your voice instead of shouting back when someone provoked you? Who kept nudging you to loosen your grip when anger tightened your hands and made you want to strike out? Who kept reminding you to be careful music with things that break easily, with hearts that have already been wounded, with trust that has been shattered before? That was not random maturity. That was not just you growing up or learning lessons the hard way. That was God training you quietly, not for a platform, but for a kind of authority that does not need one. Not for recognition, but for influence that happens in rooms no one else sees. Not for applause, but for the sacred trust of being safe. Chosen ones are often used as examples without realizing it. Someone watches you calm a frightened animal instead of music forcing obedience, and something inside them shifts. They may never say a word to you. They may never ask for advice, but they remember that it is possible to be firm without being cruel, to be strong without being unsafe, to lead without crushing what you lead. They remember that authority can look like patience, that power can look like listening, that leadership can look like serving. That is the kind of leadership Jesus pointed to music when he said that even the smallest lives matter, reminding us that not one sparrow is forgotten before God. Heaven notices what the world dismisses, and when heaven sees you caring for what is small, wounded, or overlooked, it takes that seriously. It records it. It honors it. It builds something lasting on that foundation. This is why many of you have always had a soft spot for strays, for wounded animals, for the ones labeled too difficult, too wild, too much. On some deep level, you recognized yourself. You knew what it felt like to be mishandled, to be misunderstood, to be pushed when you needed to be guided. You knew what it was like to be written off, to be seen as a problem rather than a person, to be treated as disposable. Somewhere along the way, you made a quiet decision in your heart. I will not become what hurt me. I will not pass on the pain that was handed to me. I will break the cycle here. Heaven heard that decision. God honored it, and he began to build an entire life around it. A life where authority looks like shelter. A life where leadership looks like consistency. A life where those under your care can finally unclench their shoulders and breathe. So when you notice music, the dog that once barked now sleeping at your feet, when you see the cat that once hissed now choosing your side of the room, when the tension in a space eases simply because you are there, pause for a moment, not to feel proud, but to recognize that something in you has become trustworthy. You did not rush this. You did not music plan it like a strategy. You did not perform it for an audience. You simply kept saying yes to God in quiet, unseen places. And now even the smallest lives around you are bearing witness to that work. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a situation where someone else's animal, a pet that usually keeps its distance from strangers, came directly to you? Maybe it was at a friend's house or a family gathering, or even just walking down the street. The owner was surprised. You were surprised. But the animal knew something. If that has happened to you, share it in the comments. Tell us about it. These stories matter because they remind us that we are not making this up. God really does mark his people in ways the world can see, even if the world does not always understand what it is seeing. This is who you are becoming: a living pattern, a quiet answer, a safe presence that creation itself has begun to recognize. Not because you are perfect, but because you are surrendered. Not because you have arrived, but because you are willing to keep walking even when the path is unclear. Not because you never fail, but because when you do, you return to God with honesty rather than pretense. And here is what you need to understand. This journey you are on, this transformation that feels so slow and so hidden, it is not invisible to heaven. Every moment you chose patience when anger felt justified, God saw it. Every time you extended grace when bitterness would have been easier, it was recorded. every instance you protected something small when you could have ignored it. Heaven took note. You may feel like you are doing nothing significant. You may look at others who seem to be doing more, reaching more people, making a bigger impact, and wonder if you are wasting your life in these small, quiet moments. But God does not measure impact the way we do. He is not impressed by numbers or noise. He is looking for faithfulness in the hidden places. He is looking for people who will care for one sparrow as if it were the only one that mattered. Your life is teaching something that cannot be taught in books or seminars. It is demonstrating that peace is possible, that gentleness is powerful, that quiet strength is real. And the people around you, even the ones who never say anything, are learning from what they witness. They are learning that you do not have to be loud to be heard. You do not have to be harsh to be respected. You do not have to dominate to lead. Think about the moments in your own life when someone's presence changed everything for you. Maybe it was a teacher who spoke calmly when everyone else was shouting. Maybe it was a friend who just sat with you when you were breaking. Those moments shaped you. You are now becoming that person for someone else. Scripture tells us, "Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works, and glorify your Father which is in heaven." Matthew 5:16, your light is in your presence. It is in the way you treat creatures who cannot repay you. It is in the way you move through conflict without adding to it. This light does not need to be loud. It simply needs to be consistent, and you have been consistent. Even when you did not feel strong, you showed up. That consistency has built something in you that nothing can shake. Before I continue, I want to say this. If you are feeling seen right now, if these words are landing in a deep place, and you are realizing that God has been working on you in ways you did not fully recognize, would you take a moment and leave a comment? Just say, "I receive this," or share what this message is stirring in you. Your words might be the encouragement someone else needs to keep going. We are not alone in this journey, and sometimes knowing that others understand makes all the difference. There is a reason why people who carry peace are often also the ones who have walked through the deepest pain. Suffering has a way of stripping away pretense. It removes the masks we wear and forces us to face who we really are. And when we allow God into that process, when we let Him heal us rather than just numb us, something shifts. We become people who can hold space for others' pain because we know what it is to hurt. Your gentleness with animals is connected to this. You understand what it is to be afraid. You know what it feels like to be approached by someone who wants to control rather than connect. So now, when you encounter a creature that is scared or wounded, something in you responds with the care you once needed. This is not weakness. This is wisdom. This is what it looks like when pain is redeemed rather than wasted. God wastes nothing. Every season you walk through, He is using it all. He is weaving it into a story that will help others find their way home. And creation sees this. When an animal trusts you, it is not just responding to your kindness in that moment. It is recognizing something ancient in you, something that reflects the original design before the world became so broken. It sees someone who carries the image of God with a little more clarity, a little more honesty, a little more love. You are living proof that transformation is real, that people can change, that healing is possible, that gentleness can be learned, that peace can be chosen, and every living thing around you is bearing witness to that truth. So keep going. Keep choosing patience when everything in you wants to rush. Keep choosing kindness when you have every reason to be bitter. Keep choosing gentleness when the world keeps telling you that only the loud and the harsh get ahead. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be. And what God is building in you is worth every quiet, hidden moment. Thank you for staying with this moment. all the way to the end. If something you heard today settled your spirit or quietly affirmed what God has been shaping within you, take a breath and write Amen music in the comments as a simple acknowledgement of that truth. And if someone comes to mind who feels tired, misunderstood, or in need of peace, consider sharing this message with them. It may arrive at exactly the right time. Subscribe, if you feel led, so we can continue walking this path of faith, growth, and quiet transformation together. Your presence in this community matters more than you know. And I believe God has more to say to you, more to reveal to you, more to confirm in you in the days ahead. And as you go, remember this: you are not music waiting to become someone else. You are already becoming who you were meant to be. What God started in you is unfolding step by step. The animals know it, creation recognizes it, and heaven is celebrating every small victory, every quiet choice, every moment you said yes, when no one else was watching. This is who you are. This is who you are becoming. A living reflection of peace, a quiet carrier of grace, a safe place in a world that so desperately needs more of both. Walk in that truth, rest in that calling, and trust that every step you take is being guided by a God who sees you, knows you, and delights in the work He is doing in you.